Hello and welcome to the news desk and end step here at Mythic Championship London. Maria, Simon, and Rich hanging out with you here. And what a fantastic finals we had there, Simon. Any takeaway thoughts after that game?
Yes, humans is not a buy for Affinity match scoring.
That's what everyone said coming into this round. And humans being the deck that takes down the whole tournament, if we had walked back a couple of days, is that a prediction you would have made?
No, but in Modern it's really difficult to predict anyway, but humans definitely wasn't this kind of championship winning type of deck I was expecting.
Yeah, and Loveman, looking back at the top 8, had 2 underdog performances essentially to be the champion. Beat Is It Phoenix 3-1, all right, but then beat Alexander Hayne 3-1 with Tron in a matchup theoretically unfavorable, and then 3-1 again against Affinity.
That's
again,
at least one heavy upset against Tron there.
Right. Just terrific stuff. So Eli Loveman is your champion. We'll hear from him in just a little bit. We'll give you all the reaction to what has been a really interesting weekend. And I think stories are just starting to be told, whether that's Eli Loveman's, whether that's Matt Sperling's, who has gone further than ever before for him in a long career. Congratulations to him. But also this limited format, which is 2 days old, by the way.
And it's very spicy. I've just been hearing stories from everybody around here, whether it's MCQ or whether it's the Magic Fest event. It is a format that I think we will remember as something very special.
Yeah, I know I, for one, can't wait to draft it tonight and get my hands on it. But before any of that can happen, we've got to hear from our winner, and he's with Tim Willoughby.
Thank you, Maria. Here I am with our second Mythic champion here in London, Eli Loveman. Now, of course, we're going to talk about that final. It was fantastic. But before we get there were a lot of rounds that took you into this position where you've been able to ultimately lift the trophy. Let's start off with War of the Spark Limited. A very new format for everyone involved. Clearly it worked out for you, but talk us through some of the details.
Well, in testing, I think we didn't get to do much because it was a new set, but I think we quickly found out blue was pretty good. So I drafted blue-red spells, and I lost to... What's the 6-drop where you pay X and reanimate X? I lost some busted rares. And then on day 3, I stayed in black, and then I opened Liliana, and that was just cruise control at that point. So
it turns out if you get to be in the front and center of the trailer, you're a pretty good card overall. But then we move on to Modern, and you seem to have been rocking and rolling with this humans deck all weekend long. There were 3 of them in the top 8, but you felt like your one was particularly well positioned.
Well, humans was actually my backup deck coming into the tournament, but it is Old Faithful for a reason, and I actually had some cards for the mirror. I had dampening spheres, and I felt pretty good about Affinity. So,
well, I mean that pretty much covers up all of your matchups in that top 8. Now, thinking to the final itself, when you got that Is Ecstatic Caster into play, was that the point where you thought, you know what, we might be getting there?
Well, I didn't realize how good it was until I Kitesail freebooted him. At that point, there was so many options in my hand, and I couldn't think of what the play was, so I just cast the freebooter and saw that the coast was clear, and we took it down from there.
Yeah, once you know that the coast is clear, it's just a matter of attacking in. That's exactly what you did, and that is what has made you our second Mythic champion.
Fantastic stuff. Congratulations to our champion, Eli Loveman. Award ceremony just a few minutes away. But we are in end step. That means we've got lots of housekeeping to do as we reflect a mage on the weekend that's just been. So where should we kick off, Maria?
Let's kick it off with card of the day, and for that, we turn to Simon.
Maybe you can guess the creature type of the card I picked.
Human.
Dinosaur?
It's a human. It's not a construct. Yeah. It's not a dinosaur. So, my card of the day is Meddling Mage, and that's because I think it tells a really nice story arc of this event. Meddling Mage is at its best when you know what your opponent is playing, and people in Modern knew this weekend. But we also saw it be absolutely tremendous in the top 8, not only for Eli, but also for the rest of the human players. Here you can actually see a board state where Alexander Hayne is disallowed from casting Ugin, Wormcoil Engine, Walking Ballista, and Oblivion Stone. That's just basically a drawing dead with Tron against humans. It was pretty amazing to see Eli with that Meddling Mage. You heard Paul Chion also mention the fact that the Meddling Mage on Arcborn Ravager was crucial in the in the finals.
And we heard about this too as well when we did a deck tech with Andrea Mengucci, the fact that deck lists were open this weekend. Meddling Mage, just a huge win there.
Absolutely. So this kind of card is just perfect when you know what your opponent is on. You even know the exact configuration of the main deck. You know the names of the sideboard cards, which is often enough to make the right calls.
All right, so not only an individual tournament here in London, of course, we are earning points in the team series. And Rich has an update with our team of the weekend.
Sure, so this is straightforwardly, apparently you can't say it straightforwardly, Haruya Sword. They were terrific this weekend, and the top 4 teams or so needed to make a move. This is how things stand at the end of this weekend. Now, Legion have moved up from 4th to 3rd. Channel Fireball have fallen 1 from 1st to 2nd. Ultimate Guard now down in 8th. KMC Genesis, fantastic. They were in 14th, but in large part thanks to the top 8 success of Brian Brown doing, they're up into 4th place and have done tremendously. But, and well done to Cardboard Live as well, they remain in 5th place. But Haruya Sword were in 3rd. They are now 10 points clear at the top. Javier Dominguez, Gregor Kowalski, and Andrea Mengucci, Lishi Chan, Kelvin Chiu, Jeremy Dizani, the squad there. And it's that fact that they are now in the box seat because only 2 will advance to the Team Series finals. Right now, that would be Sword and Fireball. But as you head further down, the teams like KMC Genesis, they're a full 20 points behind the leaders right now. I think Haruya Sword are looking very, very strong for locking up at the next show the one of the top 2 places in the finals. And then a mad scrum for who finishes second. But a fabulous weekend headlined by Javier Dominguez.
Thanks so much, Rich. Well, what about our match of the day? And for that, we head to Riley back in the booth.
Thanks so much, Maria. Riley Knight with Paul Chown in the booth. And I tell you what, you and I had front row seats this weekend, Paul. It was a real showstopper. But the match that really stood out for me was one of our semi-finals. You're going to see it on the screen right here and right now between the Mythic champion, Eli Loveman, and his formidable opponent, Alexander Hayne, the Hayne sensation here. You can see a lot of good vibes on the table to begin the match, Paul. These guys are ready to get it done, but a brutal start from Eli Loveman, upending what we expected out of this matchup here. Humans generally favoured against Tron, but Alexander Hayne scooped up game number 1 after a brutal onslaught. We talked about this moment here. He would have got away with it too if it weren't for those meddling mages, but Eli Loveman seals the deal in game number 2. Some brief respite here off the back of a massive Ugin, thanks to Alexander Hayne's game number 3 post-sideboard plan, and Loveman packs it up. But have a look at this. In game number 4, a pivotal sideboard card in Damping Sphere. Alexander Hayne 1 land away from resolving an enormous Ulamog, but so close and yet so far. Athalia's lieutenant coming down, juicing up the rest of the team and getting in for lethal. That was enough to propel Loveman into the final. And, of course, he'll be hoisting the trophy in a few short moments. Paul, a stunning and huge semi-final full of thrills and spills.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Eli Loveman just continued to impress as I just saw him, from the Swiss rounds even all the way to the finals. I even had the opportunity to play him at a previous event, and I was very, very impressed just by his demeanor and his approach to the game. So it's not really that surprising. This guy is a modern master. This was his backup deck, and it didn't even matter because he knows the format inside and out. So it doesn't matter what deck you pick up because, especially a deck like Humans, he made all the right calls with Meddling Mage. And, even in that finals, I want to talk about where turn 2 against Affinity, he had a lot of different cards that he could name. A lot of really annoying cards. And ultimately, he's played the matchup enough to recognize that Arcbound Ravager was the card to name. And that ended up being very, very crucial for him to pick up that first game. Yep. And one thing, he was kind of going up against matchups that were maybe slightly unfavorable, but that is kind of the nature of the human deck. I think when you have a bad matchup with Humans, you're maybe 40-60 at the very worst. And so, he had all these matchups where, sure, you're a little bit of a dog, but if you know what you're doing, you can still pull out ahead. I mean, he had to get really creative. He had to go triple Meddling Mage in your match to be able to get that win because he recognized the most important cards in the matchup were Walking Ballista, Oblivion Stone, and Ugin, and managed to just basically prevent Alex Kane from playing anything. And, you know, he just, again, continued to really impress me. And humans, this deck is for real. This was kind of one of the decks of the tournament, just, you know, putting win after win, and had one of the highest win rates coming in, with also a very high kind of showing at the tournament.
Exactly right. And, you know, we can talk about Eli's prowess on the battlefield, but as you mentioned a little bit, Paul, just this guy's demeanor, his character as a representative and ambassador of the game of Magic, I've been so impressed with what he's brought to the table, both on and off the battlefield all weekend. And look, the heartiest of congratulations to Eli Loveman, our Mythic Championship here in London. It's back to the desk.
Well, humans have taken down the robot overlords here at Mythic Championship London, and now it is time to give away some hardware.
Magic fans from around the world, welcome back to the feature match area here in London for Mythic Championship II. It is now, of course, the best time of any Mythic Championship weekend. It is time to honor our champion from the United States, Eli Loveman. Eli, boy, you made it exciting down the stretch for us. I want to know, you got a frame picked out for that Is It Staticaster?
Well, I was going to cast Meddling Mage and name Silver's here anyway, but then it just did that by itself.
What was going through your mind those last few turns? When did it become clear to you that you were going to be our champion?
I had 4 cards in my hand and they were all spells, and I couldn't. My head was racing, so I just said hell with it, and I played the freebooter to see what was up, and then I saw that he had nothing, and then finished it off from there.
Well, congratulations, Eli. Who do you want to thank that helped get you here?
My mom, Chris Iali, who told me how to sideboard, and Hunter Thomas Bolding, who built my deck.
Well, congratulations once again. We'll bring out your friends here, and this is your guy. Congratulations to your champion, Eli Loveman.
And now it kicks in. Yes, Eli, you are a Mythic champion. It is you raising that trophy aloft that 500 players came in looking to raise at the end of the weekend. But in the end, you were the Modern Master. You were the player who came into your 5th Mythic Championship knowing, well, sure, I haven't had a great run at 4 of these, but this is Modern, and Modern is where I belong. I am ready to take down this title. In the end, the top 8 saw Tien win, and Matt Sperling, Brian Brown-Duin, and Adrian Zhu, Eli himself, Javier Dominguez, Alexander Hain, and Chris Kvartek. But in the end, it was Loveman who got the job done. We've had a fantastic time here at the Excel Centre in London. It has been a marathon. It's been the weekend of the London Marathon. 60,000 people have been pounding the pavements for 26 miles. Here, it was more a case of 19 rounds across 3 days. 500 came in, only 2 reached the final. Matt Sperling had a phenomenal weekend with the robots, and he may have played robots, but there's nothing artificial about that man's intelligence. In the end, though, humans did get the job done, and Eli Loveman got the job done. For everyone here on the coverage team and for everyone around the wide world of Wizards of the Coast, join us for the MPL Weekly starting May 11, and we'll see you once again around the wonderful world of MTG. I'm your host, Rich Hagon, saying bye.